I was at this technology and education conference, and it was basically a state conference, and got all this free crap. I mean, you can't go to these things without getting free crap from the vendors. I mean, they just love to give stuff away. I also got a couple of pens, just a couple. I mean, while you're at their booths, they usually give out free pens. So I grabbed a few. And a mug from G4 Communications. Thanks, guys. So, while I was there, I happened upon a booth that wasn't giving away free crap. Instead, they were demonstrating their product, which is pretty cool. It's called the BBot. And this is actually the brochure they give out. And what it is a little robotic bee that can be programmed and is designed to be used by a 3-year-old up to about maybe 10 years old, or an adult, or really anyone. It's a very fun toy, and it caught my eye because I have a young cousin who's about, I think he's 5 or 6. I think he's 5 actually, and he's an interesting kid. I mean, he loves to play with hands-on experiments and toys. I mean, I actually gave him a build-your-own electric bell kit about a year ago, and he built it with his brother, and they had a great time putting these things together. And he's a curious kid. He loves to learn things. The other day he came up to me and started talking about the Titanic and how it sank and why it sank, and he just got into the details of the ship and scenarios like and he was actually referring to the Titanic movie at this point, but he's like, what if Jack Dawson could swim or something like that? He just went on this tangent, and I'm thinking to myself, here's a kid who really wants to learn something, and what can I get him to for Christmas that would actually kind of stretch his mind a little bit and get him thinking. And it's as if this particular product just fell into my lap as I was at this convention. I saw this brochure, and I demonstrated the product, and I was pretty amazed at not only how simple it was, but how fun it was. I mean, I was like starting to challenge myself and trying to get it to do different things on the demonstration floor, which I will show you guys, because I ended up buying one. And here it is. It comes in a box like this. They cost $85 retail, well, through their website anyway. And I got mine for $75 at the show. Before I dig into the BBot, I want to talk a little bit about the company's other offerings. I'm not getting paid to say this, but I just believe in their products so much that I'm giving them a little bit of free advertising, if you will. Terrapin Tools for Thinking. They're based out of Cambridge, Mass., and their website is www.bbot.us. They also offer a more advanced product for maybe like a 10-year-old or above. I think I wonder if it shows you what the recommended ages are, but this is a fully programmable using Logo battery-powered car, and it is a little more advanced, but it lets you input the programs via keypad or via USB cable. You can actually link it to a computer and write your programs on the computer and then transfer them to the car. And it uses real programming language or real programming terms that would actually help a young child who's learning or just getting started in the robotics and electronics field. It would give them kind of a precursory exposure to the idea of programming. And I don't have one. I wanted to buy one, but they were $124, and I didn't have that much on me, so I think they were $124. I don't recall exactly what the price was, but it was more money than I wanted to spend at the time, so maybe I'll buy one later. So anyway, back to the BBot. This basically gives the child hands-on action and reaction demonstration. It gives them a hands-on action and reaction demonstration. In other words, what the BBot really does is it remembers every button press or every command you give it, and then when you hit go, it's like typing the run command in BASIC, or it's basic, not basic. What am I thinking of? You know what I mean. I'm sure you do. I hope you do. If you don't, well, you're watching the wrong video. But anyway, the go command runs the program that you give it. So it really strips down programming into, well, let me rephrase that. It really just takes the concept of programming and simplifies it as much as humanly possible. But not to mention, it actually does other things as well. There's different activities you can do with this particular product that involve simple problem-solving skills. And I'm just going to demonstrate it for you, and you guys can make your own opinions. But the way it was demonstrated to me was on a flat surface. It was actually a whiteboard about the size of, well, almost the size of my kitchen, but it was pretty sizable, and it was sectioned off in a grid pattern about 15 centimeters square, each grid. And the way the BBot works is it advances 15 centimeters for every forward-backward movement. So the BBot actually, I'll show you how it works. I'll take it apart for you. But the BBot can actually calculate its own program distance. So if I press forward once, it moves exactly 15 centimeters. So if you had a precise grid layout and you wanted to ask your child or student to move the BBot from, let's say this square over to that square, and then turn around and move to that square, the child then has to figure out how to make the BBot do that through simple button pressing. And they have to actually calculate the number of button presses to figure out how many squares in which direction it has to move. And they can also play with it freestyle and just have fun with it. And that's what I've been doing. I've been using the thing ever since I got it, just having fun with it. So I'm going to shut up now, and we're going to turn this thing on. It has a power switch and a sound switch. You can turn the sound on or off. And what we're going to do, falling over on the floor here, we're going to move it. We'll try to get it over to the table. Now, if I had a like a kitchen floor with, ironically, the exact tile size, I would be able to count the number of tiles and then figure it out from there, but I don't. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 paces forward. We're going to have it turn around. So we get each press of the turn button, left or right, turns it 1/4 of a turn. So a half turn would be 2 presses. A 360-degree turn would be 4. And then we're going to have it come back to me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we want it to land right about here. Let's see how she does. And that's what it does when it stops the program or it finishes. Now, one other important fact, if I want to run another program, I have to clear it first, like so. And now, if I press go, there's nothing in memory. There's also a pause command, so we're going to have it move 3 paces forward, turn around, and move 1 pace, pause, and then 2 more paces. So let's see, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, pause, 1, 2. The pause command could be useful if you have 2 of these running on the same track and they have to intersect with each other. So that 1 pause count could be the time it takes the intersecting BBot to follow that path, like basically traffic control. I told you there was some education and problem solving involved in this product, and that's why I like it so much. So we're going to move one pace forward, turn, one pace, turn, one pace, turn, one pace. Let's see what it does. You'll notice that it can do a full 360-degree turn without moving at all, without moving forward or back. And how it does that is because instead of having, for example, a steering wheel or a wheel that turns, it actually uses two independently controlled drive wheels and one freewheeling caster, which is basically a steel ball. And what that does is it gives it the ability to turn in place like a tank. It also, so one other way that this could be a problem-solving tool or a thinking tool is you, the parent or the teacher, could hand your child a sheet of commands, and you have to say, okay, if you run all of these commands, where on the floor will it wind up? Assuming you've outlined a grid pattern on your floor or carpet or what have you. And the child has to then figure out in his head, his or her head, where the bee will land if these instructions are run through its brain. And that could be a simple way to get the child to think, logically. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, the other way to turn it into a problem-solving tool is to ask the child to position the Bee-Bot or get it to drive to a specific point on a grid. And the individual, child or adult, whatever, has to then figure out what commands it would take to get the Bee-Bot to that point. It's almost like the old computer game Pipeline, if you've ever heard of that one. You actually are given a choice of about 5 different pipe sections, and you have to complete a water circuit by placing these sections in the correct spaces. Since I'm neither a teacher, a parent, or a mentor, the best way for you to figure out what this product can do is by going to the website www.bbot.us, and I'll put it in the comments field or in the description field so you can check it out. But the company who manufactures this product, TTS of the United Kingdom, this is actually made in the UK, not China, actually lists a series of educational skills or educational, what's the word I'm looking for? It's like 12 o'clock. I'm getting really tired right now. Activities, the word I'm looking for is activities, that the child can use this product for or with. I believe they actually offer different accessories, including, there might be a trailer add-on, because there's a hitch on the back of it for some reason. But they offer a charging bay that can hold about 5 of these things in a circle. And they also offer carrying cases and different covered or body covers. You can customize it, to set one off from another one or tell the two apart. But I believe they also sell mats that have different activity cards with them that this particular product is compatible with. So a couple of other things I want to talk about. This charges with a standard USB Type A to B cable. You can charge it with a cell phone charger. That is actually how I've been charging it. And it actually features a replaceable NiCad battery pack, which you can obtain a replacement from the manufacturer. I didn't price it out, but I don't think it would be that expensive. As far as durability, I mean, this isn't something that you would give a 2-year-old who would probably more than likely try to smash it. It is made from ABS plastic, which has some impact resistance. It is molded in color, so there is no paint to wear off except for the stripes. Those appear to be silk screened, and the smiley face is also silk screened. The lights act as indicator lights, and the left eye acts as a charging indicator. So when you plug this into the USB charger, the left eye will light up in green, and when it's done charging, the light goes out. The wheels are rubberized. They have rubber tires on them. And as I mentioned earlier, you can turn the sound off and have it run without sound at all. And that might be a preferred method of operation if it's used in a busy classroom. The next step we're going to do is something that I like to do on a lot of my product reviews. We're going to take it apart. So I'm going to grab I have a freebie Phillips head screwdriver that I got at the seminar from Arcom Communications, and they are going to we are going to use their screwdriver to disassemble this product and take a look at what makes it tick and how is it constructed. Just 4 Phillips head screws, that's all it takes. As far as charging time, by the way, I believe in real terms, I think I got about, on half a charge, I think it took me about maybe 3 or 4 hours. Wasn't too bad. Okay, there we go. So one of the things I want to point out is that each servo motor, there's 2 servo motors, one for each wheel, they are independently constructed and self-contained. What this means to you is that carpet fibers, dust, and dirt are less likely to ruin the gearboxes or cause other issues to the drivetrain, unlike some remote control cars or some Chinese-made toys where the dust just flies in there and chews up the gears after only a few uses. These are going to be used in classroom settings and carpets. By the way, these don't work well on carpets. I have low pile carpeting. It does move, but the wheels will slip and it will lose track very easily. Which brings me to my next point. How does it track itself? Does it use a timer circuit or does it use an actual position sensor? And luckily, this product uses a real optical position sensor. Right here we have an optical sensor with actually I believe it's infrared, to be honest with you. There's a sensor and a light source, one on either side of a slotted wheel that is mounted within this gearbox. And there's one on each side. And what that means is that when you set out a 15 centimeter grid pattern for it to follow, it won't lose track. If it were using a timer circuit, it would actually lose track as the battery wore down. In other words, if it's supposed to run for 1 second on, 1 second off, 1 second on, 1 second off, or what have you, as the battery wore down and there was less power to the motors, it would run for the same 1 second each time, and it would actually lose ground. It would start to fall behind itself. But because it uses optical sensors, it will run the same distance every time, making it a very predictable product. As for the motors, they look like standard Mabuchi toy motors. I mean, you can buy these things at Radio Shack for very little money. I mean, the board is obviously, everything in here is custom made for the product. The board appears to be all through-hole mounted, or all through-hole soldered. So you won't really have any issues where things start to lose contact on the board like with surface mount stuff. This is all old technology, pretty simple, pretty reliable. And sometimes that is more important than being technologically advanced. I don't see anything glued in place. The one thing that kind of bothered me about it is if you ever wanted to remove the board for any reason for customization, you would have to desolder several components. It was not meant to be disassembled. So if you're kind of a tinkerer, it just means that you have a little more work to do. You've got to desolder these optical sensors, and you've got to desolder a couple of wires. There are no plug-in components. So this is really just a one-use or one-purpose, one-trick pony. That's what I'm trying to say. This is a one-trick pony, unless you're really into hardware hacking. It is RoHS compliant, so it does not use leaded solder, which is not surprising in this day and age. It looks like if the thing were to start acting up, the rubber membrane is not glued down. You can peel it up and clean it if needed. As we know, these are used with children. They will spill things and they will get grimy, and that's just a fact of life. So if that were to happen, you don't have to replace any switches. You just pull the membrane off and clean underneath, and you're good to go. Looking inside the top shell, the buttons will fall out if you were to take this apart without precaution. But there they are. Nice, brightly painted buttons. I figure a toy like this, I'm going to call it a toy for the sake of the video, but it's really an educational tool, would last a very long time in the right environment. You know, with proper care and constant care of the battery. I mean, you don't want to let it die and stay dead. I would recommend leaving it charged. It would last a very long time. I mean, you could get several years out of something like this. And the good thing is the company does offer several activity resources for the classroom teacher and for the consumer. So the possibilities of fun never end. Well, they would end if the kid were to stomp on it and maybe break it in half or something. But barring product destruction, this thing would provide years of entertainment. I was a little hesitant, by the way, getting this for my cousin because he is a little older than 3 years old. But then I realized, I mean, I am having more fun with this thing than he ever will. So, you know, I think it's the right toy for that age group. I would say this would be good for someone, or a child anywhere from 3 to maybe 12. And then he'll put it on the shelf, or she'll put it on the shelf, and then pull it out, you know, in high school and start playing with it again. It's one of those toys, like one of those timeless toys that you just could never run out of ideas as far as usage. And the great thing is the battery is replaceable. That's key. A lot of things made today do not have replaceable batteries. And if for some reason this company goes out of business, hopefully they don't. I think they have a great set of products like this car here. But if, for example, parts were no longer available, you could actually have a battery pack made at a battery store like Batteries Plus. They could actually build their own packs. The cool thing about this is it's kind of a gateway drug to the Probot, which is the car-shaped version, which does a lot more stuff. I didn't really get to demonstrate this. I was kind of in a rush. But it does a lot of cool things. I would check out a video online. Just go online and look up Probot to see what it can do. It's pretty cool. But the Probot is a gateway drug to the Arduino. Now this is a kit that I've assembled for my other cousin, which is the kid who's getting this. That's his brother. My other cousin is a little older, a little more advanced. I think that he is ready for some real challenges in life, and I think that the Arduino is the way to go for him because he learns fast, and you want to get them when they're young, when they start to develop a passion for learning, because a kid's mind is like a sponge. It absorbs so much so quickly. So I went ahead and got this Arduino and an inexpensive multimeter and the book Getting Started with Arduino, and I got the project kit to go with it, level 1 entry level, for my cousin who's about 10 years, I think he's 10 going on 11, and something like this is what he needs at his age. Because when I was that age, we didn't have anything like this. Heathkit was out of business by that point. Radio Shack was mostly selling remote-controlled cars and stereos. And there really weren't a lot of kits available to me. Not only that, but I just wasn't that smart. I was not good with electronics. I still struggle with electronics to this day. But get someone who's intelligent, young, and impressionable, and give them something they can learn with, and you've got a winner right there. So, you know, with any luck, the kid who, his name is Connor, that gets this, will work his way up to something like this, as his brother becomes an engineer and solves all the world's problems. So, so that's it, guys. I got nothing. I'll leave on this note. If you are looking for a great Christmas gift for a kid who has a passion for taking things apart and just tinkering in general, get him or her an erector set. It is the coolest kit you can buy a kid. I had one. I had 3 of them, actually. And you can build anything. You can build and design anything you want out of metal. And I built race cars, I built Ferris wheels, I built little toys that do nothing but hurt people. I mean, I built all kinds of cool stuff with my 3 erector sets. And they actually are made by Meccano of France. Pretty well made sets. Chrome plated. The metal pieces, like the flat pieces, are made out of steel, and they're powder coated. Very good, very, very great kit for the budding engineer. Unfortunately, I never became an engineer. It just wasn't something I was interested in. But I did like building my own stuff. And so, anyway, have a great holiday, guys. And whatever your faith is, I hope you have a good one. And I'm going to go to bed. It is almost 11:30, and I usually go to bed about an hour ago. So.